Is Media Day for the Super Bowl. Today, it's all about the Media Tour in NASCAR. It's our first show of 2015. Jeff Hammond, Larry McReynolds are here. Larry, how many days to the Daytona 500?
27.
All right, 27. But NASCAR Race Hub, it starts right now. The Media Tour kicks off with Joe Gibbs Racing on the Hub season debut. Will Kyle Busch finally put it all together? All we can do is ask him. Matt Kenseth coming off a winless season. Surely that can't happen again. And Hamlin plus Homestead equaled heartbreak. Now Denny ramps up to try and do it again. And Carl Edwards is at JGR2. How long before that sinks in? The stacked JGR lineup right now on the Hub. Hey everybody, I'm Adam Alexander. Welcome into the first edition of 2015. It's NASCAR Race Hub presented by Ram. And yes, we're on at an all-new time, 6 p.m. Eastern. We hope it works for you. We are awfully excited about that. The first of 180 shows this season. Yes, we continue to be the front runner when it comes to daily NASCAR news. And everyone here at NASCAR Race Hub has big expectations for the season ahead, including our Steve Byrnes. Steve, we hope to see you back in the studio soon. What's on your mind as we get set to head down to Daytona in just a few weeks' time?
Hey guys, happy NASCAR New Year. It's great to be with you. I'm feeling good. Hey, I made some notes because there's so many things to talk about in this 2015 season. Of course, Kevin Harvick defends his championship. How about his boss man, Tony Stewart? Can he make a comeback? He's had another leg surgery. Big news over at Hendrick Motorsports, some crew chief changes there. But the big story, obviously, Jeff Gordon is calling it a career, his last full-time season. Can he win a 5th championship? He had a great year last year. But I think the biggest story is Joe Gibbs Racing. They are now a 4-car team, and the big headline there, Carl Edwards comes over from Roush Fenway Racing, the only team he's ever driven for in NASCAR. He's hooked up with Darian Grubb. A lot of stories internally, new crew chiefs for Kyle Busch. A lot of stories there to watch, and maybe a surprise or two like Ryan Blaney. But anyways, it's great to be with you guys. Hope to see you soon.
Steve, we would love to have you back in the studio with us. How awesome would it be, Danielle, to have Steve Byrnes back with us on a daily basis? So much news today coming your way from the Media Tour at Uptown Charlotte.
Yeah, Double A, you said it. Our fingers are crossed. Steve is back full-time, but of 180 episodes you mentioned, can't think of a better way than kicking off episode 1 with a message from Byrnesy, and he's right on the money when it comes to big storylines here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, kicking off 2015. The big headline here, Adam, have to say, is Carl Edwards joining Joe Gibbs Racing, the 4th car added now to that stable. All the guys will be here. We'll talk to Carl Edwards and his 3 new teammates, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Matt Kenseth. Also, the State of the Sport address with CEO and Chairman of NASCAR, Brian France. We're also covering the Media Tour all week with boots on the ground. Let's send it down to one of our reporters in Caitlin Vincey.
Thank you, Danielle. Well, today marks the start of the annual Charlotte Motor Speedway Media Tour, where over 240 media representatives from across the country have gathered here at the Charlotte Convention Center to get their first glimpse of the 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup season. Now, the only team that's going to be addressing the media today is Joe Gibbs Racing. I've seen all those drivers come through the door already. They're in good spirits. It seems like a lot of excitement in this building. This kind of feels like the first day of school. We haven't had an opportunity to hear from a lot of these drivers in several weeks. But now, for more media coverage, let's head over to Alan Cavana. And Alan, I want to personally welcome you to the Fox Sports 1 team. We're excited to have you.
Thank you, Caitlin. It's great to be part of the team. And coming up, we'll hear from another fresh face, at least on the Sprint Cup Series side, Crew Chief Adam Stevens, who takes control of the number 18 Toyota team for Kyle Busch. We'll also hear from top NASCAR officials, Chairman and CEO Brian France and President Mike Helton, as they talk the new season and the new rules package. All that coming up in this hour of Race Hub. Adam, back to you.
Thanks, Alan. Welcome to the team. Now our daily fuel. Jeff Gordon announced last week that 2015 would be his final full-time season in NASCAR. Gordon will have turned 44 by the end of the season. Throughout the years, Gordon has compiled 92 wins and 4 championships at NASCAR's top level. And yesterday, Scott Dixon, Tony Kanaan, and 2 Sprint Cup regulars, Kyle Larson and Jamie McMurray, won the Rolex 24 for Chip Ganassi Racing. How about this for Jamie McMurray? He joins A.J. Foyt and Mario Mario Andretti is the only drivers to have won the Rolex 24 and the Daytona 500. And oh, by the way, the trio has also won at Indianapolis. That's impressive. You know, if ever there were a good day for me to have car trouble, today would be the day, because the crew chiefs, they are with me.
That's
that would
right.
be
Double trouble.
Larry McReynolds and Jeff Hammond. Guys, welcome to 2015. What's on your mind as we get going?
Well, Adam, we've had a lot of storylines that's developed since the checkered flag waved at Homestead Miami Speedway in November, but none that surpasses the announcement last week that Jeff Gordon's final season in Sprint Cup will be 2015. I can't say I was shocked by the announcement, a little surprised at the timing. He's coming off the best season he has had since he finished second in the points and won 6 races back in 2007. He said last year winning those 4 races and being a championship contender for most of the year, it re-energized him. It rejuvenated him. It gave him confidence. But with all that said, he said 2015, his last year is full-time in the Sprint Cup Series.
But guys, I mean, Jeff, look at me, buddy. Understand something. 44? You're just a young pup, man. You're just getting in your prime. Don't be thinking about hanging it up. But no, it's going to be sad to see Jeff, you know, just make this decision. It's understandable. Had a great career so far, but I still believe at 44, you know, he's not doing too bad. And you talk about the kind of like the start of the season. Can you believe we've already run a race? And we got NASCAR guys that were involved in it, and they did really well. I mean, we talked about it. Kyle Larson, I think that whole, you know, Ganassi team, you know, with Felix Sabates, pit strategy, hard racing, all the way through. I mean, I enjoyed watching it right all the way to the end, because you didn't know what was going to happen, just because almost like a NASCAR race. They had a lot of stuff going on, and them 2 cars, 3 cars that close together after 24 hours, pretty impressive.
They didn't just get a trophy and a checkered flag. They also got a watch for their efforts. So we offer
Anybody here got a
congratulations to them.
I don't.
And now we move on to the item of the day, and that would be the NASCAR Media Tour kicking off in Uptown Charlotte. And the team everyone talking about this afternoon, and that would be Joe Gibbs Racing. They've gone through some changes as we get set for the campaign ahead. Denny Hamlin, new crew chief. Dave Rogers calling the shots. Adam Stevens moves up from the Xfinity Series. He will work with Kyle Busch in that 18 team. Of course, the new man in town, that would be Carl Edwards. Darian Grubb going to be atop the pit box for him. And the mainstay, Matt Kenseth, Jason Ratcliffe back together. Let's begin our coverage. Hearing from cousin Carl, here's Danielle.
So now that Carl Edwards knows this is NASCAR Race Hub and our first day back in 2015, we want to welcome him to the set, Adam. Yes, of all the driver changes in 2015, you are the most talked about now with Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I actually got the chance to go testing with Darian and the guys a little bit in December, and that went really well. And now we're just gearing up for the Daytona 500, and it's I feel like I'm starting all over again. There are a lot of nerves and all that stuff, but it is a lot of fun.
Your crew chief, Darian Grubb, said in the offseason, you were like a kid in a candy store. You had so many questions, and you just didn't know where to start. But I want to go back a little bit. The last time we saw you was in Las Vegas at the Champions Banquet. The last time you were introduced with Roush. So what has the past 2 months been like? How do you kind of say goodbye and pack up and then say hello and go over to JGR?
Well, everyone at Roush Fenway Racing has been amazing. You know, we had so much success together, so much fun. Those guys are family to me. So everyone at Roush and everyone at Ford, everybody over there, all the sponsors have been great. I've still talked to quite a few of them. But the transition has just been, it's been spectacular. Everyone's really excited at JGR. I need them to start wearing name tags. That's the only thing. All my questions start with, what was your name again? Okay, now talk to me about this steering wheel. So, but like I said, the thing that has surprised me is how much, basically how many nerves I have and how much anxiety there is. I really feel like I have to go prove myself.
Where do you start? All those questions you had for Darian, how did you jump in?
The first thing that happened, which amazed me, I've kept my eye on Darian for a long time. You know, we have some history. I mean, those guys, Tony had told him that, hey, at the end of the year, he wasn't going to be working there anymore. And if you look, you take it and you really look at that objectively, how can a guy perform that well, stay that focused with basically that kind of pressure you know, on his shoulders? And so I've always looked up to Darian. So the opportunity to work with him was a big deal to me. In our first run, the first run in testing, I went out there and I had a little trouble. I was telling him the car was tight, and he suggested to do something with the throttle pedal. And I thought, man, come on, I mean, that's silly. And I went out and tried it, and it worked. And I thought, man, that's really astute that he understood what was going on there. He's a very smart guy, and I have a feeling we're going to win a lot of races.
Now, I heard that you've been spending a lot of time in this area, in Charlotte, at the shop, to try to get acclimated for the start of the year.
Well, in fact, I've been wearing this driver's suit all day. We did a commercial earlier
You've been
today.
wearing it for 2 months.
I know. And so then I walked into the shop. I just got my key to get into the shop, my little electronic key, and I walked in just a little while ago with my suit, and everybody's laughing at me. They're like, dude, are you ever going to take that off? So yeah, I've been really excited. The guys at the shop have been great. We've got a new seat, which takes a lot of time to get fitted.
So at Joe Gibbs Racing, of course, run by the legendary recruiter, the legendary motivator, Joe Gibbs, I'm guessing a different culture in some respects than Roush. What is it like to be a part of the organization?
Well, I haven't been into battle with them. I can tell you that through all of our championship runs and all the race wins at Roush Fenway Racing, I feel very fortunate to have worked with Jack. And these men that run these teams and are able to go out and risk all of this, they're special guys. From Mike Mittler, Jack Roush, and now I get the opportunity to work with Joe Gibbs. I just look at it as an opportunity to learn from him. And I mean, his credentials speak for themselves. So the way Joe Gibbs motivates people and the way he does things, it seems to be just amazing. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Number 19, a 4-car fleet now with JGR. People are saying that you guys will go head-to-head with Hendrick for top billing. When you look at your teammates, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, the day that this was announced, you told me you wanted to be a better teammate.
Yep.
Has that process already begun?
Yes, and I think that for me it's an opportunity. When I came into the sport, I got to work with some really great drivers, and I feel like I've changed a lot, and now I see how big of an opportunity this is. I mean, to share notes with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth, a guy that I worked with before, but I don't think I did things really the right way. To get this opportunity again to start fresh, I mean, I'm the new guy on the scene, and I'm just going to try to soak up everything I can. These guys are spectacular.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. Don't wear the fire suit between now and Daytona. Like, give it a break before we
It's
get
so
there.
comfy, though, you know?
It fits so well, and it's white. That's not a color you want to wear on television, our director says.
Bad for pasta, too.
No carb diet. Subway without the bread. Adam, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. And I think that the driver's suit looks quite nice. The numbers from 2014, well, he probably wants to do a little work on these. 2 victories. Of course, he won in the spring in March at Bristol, and also got the checkered flag, his first road course win at Sonoma in June. But I will remind you of this. Carl Edwards, 2 wins in 2014. Joe Gibbs Racing is an organization, 2 wins in 2014. So Larry and Jeff, let's talk about Carl Edwards. And I immediately think to the other big name drivers that have been on the move in recent years. Matt Kenseth moved over to Joe Gibbs Racing, got 7 wins in his first year. Last year, Kevin Harvick, first season at Stewart-Haas, got the championship. Do we expect the same from Carl this year?
I don't know if we should, but I know that's exactly what he expects. He really believes that making this move is going to be instrumental in kind of like getting his career back on track. And now when I say that, folks, don't take it wrong. I know we won 2 races last year, but the thing is, he wants to win a championship. He's just like Kevin Harvick. He's been around for a while. He understands that is part of what his mission statement was many, many years ago when he was at Roush Fenway. Win a championship. Put himself in the record book alongside Petty, Pearson, Waltrip. He hasn't been able to do that. And I think, at least at the moment, we talk so much about Darian Grubb. The respect that he came in with and what he's been shown so far in this early testing and keep hearing about is really starting to pay off. It looked like some good chemistry. And in the end, Larry, I mean, you got to think this is what it's going to take to get him maybe your run be really a serious contender for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, Carl Edwards spent 10 full seasons driving for Roush Fenway Racing in the Sprint Cup, and he won races. He finished second in the points twice. But if you think about the last time he signed a contract with Roush Fenway Racing, he was thinking about leaving there. So I think a lot like Matt Kenseth 2 years ago, a lot like Kevin Harvick, he was just ready for a change. He's ready for that clean start. But the most interesting thing I heard Carl Edwards say after this announcement, I'm more older, I'm wiser, I'm more mature. I want to be a better teammate with my 3 teammates at Joe Gibbs Racing.
And I still wonder if Carl had won one of those championships at Roush Fenway, if he had ever left and gone to Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll never know. So Denny Hamlin, you know, he's still looking for his first championship. And, well, he appears to be in a good mood, and he should be, because he finished 2014 on a strong note. But does the momentum carry over? We hear from driver 11 next. And as we continue, the conversation shifts to Kyle Busch. So much on his mind on the season ahead, and it's not all about what's happening on track. Well, welcome back to the debut edition of 2015 at NASCAR Race Hub. Our reporters are part of the nearly 300 media members that have made the trip to Charlotte, North Carolina for this year's media tour. Among the drivers fielding questions today, Joe Gibbs Racing's Denny Hamlin. You know you're good when you can miss a race, make the playoffs, and be a part of the Final Four at Homestead. Denny Hamlin, third in the championship, that one win. His only points-paying win ever at a restrictor plate track. It came at Talladega. Let's hear from driver 11 and send it to Danielle.
There's a look at Denny Hamlin's season by the numbers. Now Denny Hamlin himself joining us at the NASCAR Hall of Fame with teammate Matt Kenseth lurking somewhere behind. He's trying to photobomb the interview.
Yeah, he's always looking for attention. You know, Matt.
Right now, you get the spotlight. You certainly had the spotlight as one of the Final Four in 2014. The season finale, Denny carrying the championship battle for Joe Gibbs Racing. Oh, so close. Had pit strategy and some cautions fallen differently, Denny. The trophy could have been yours. How many times have you replayed that race in your mind?
A lot. I mean, you think about it all the time about what you could do differently. But from my standpoint, I mean, that was our best race of the season. It really was. I mean, we led laps. I thought we had the best car at the end of it. It just didn't work out. I mean, whether it be pit strategy or the cautions, neither one of the two worked in our favor. So it just didn't work out for us. But when I think about it, you know, it's easy to be disappointed by that, but it's also, you got to put things in perspective. We were not as strong as what we had been in years past, but yet we still were just 9 laps away from a championship. So it shows how well we executed through the season.
And it was your last race with crew chief Darian Grubb. Now there was that crew chief swap we've been talking about throughout the hour here on Race Hub, now paired with Kyle Busch's old crew chief Dave Rogers. Why did Denny and Dave make sense as a pairing?
Well, I've done a lot of tests, and with all 3 cars out there for testing throughout the last few years, and whether Kyle was out racing a late model somewhere, I always had opportunities to jump in his car, and I always went really, really fast in Dave's cars. And so I'm excited to get that opportunity to work with Dave again. We worked together in the old Busch series, which is now Xfinity. So I'm excited about the change. I think it's good for everyone. I think Carl's getting an excellent crew chief, and Darian, we saw what he did with me, so we know that he's going to run really well with Carl.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned Carl Edwards now rounding out the 4-driver fleet. A lot of folks are saying you now have the strongest driver lineup in the garage to rival Hendrick Motorsports. How do you feel about the 4-car team now? You've been with Joe Gibbs a long time. It's just been the 3.
Yeah, and really, a lot of the concerns that people have about starting a 3rd team or a 4th team is that, oh, you're stretching your personnel a little bit too thin. But Joe Gibbs Racing has expanded this offseason by huge numbers. I mean, they employ a lot of people now that they didn't before, and really, whether it be R&D or engineering, everything expanded dramatically, way more so than what it did when the 3rd car came on with the 11 FedEx team. So I think that those resources is what's going to put this organization at that next tier where it needs to be.
And hopefully the fruits of all that labor will show up for Joe Gibbs Racing at Daytona in a few weeks. Denny won just about everything you could win at Daytona last year, except for the 500. I know you want to get down there and race, but not a lot of time in the race cars yet. What are you doing for the next 20 days or so to kind of get prepared?
I'm going to Phoenix, and I'm going to be unheard of for the next 20 days or so. I'm gone. My buddy and assistant Austin, he's getting married to Rachel Rupert, and so we're having a 7-day bachelor week in Phoenix for the Super Bowl, and then I'm going to stay that week after and golf every day and have fun. So
I hope you're ready for Daytona. That could be epic.
I just got to make sure someone gets me to Daytona when I need to be there.
Somewhere Joe Gibbs just got really, really nervous about who's going to be driving that 11 car.
I got an idea.
2015.
Larry Mack. He knows he's taking the Daytona 500.
But hey, they talked about it. So good at the end of 2014. How does the momentum carry over, Jeff?
Well, let me go on record right now and say this much when it comes to Joe Gibbs Racing. They have a lot of internal people who have got points to prove. When you talk about Dave Rogers and Denny Hamlin right now, Denny has already lost 2 championships while he's been at Joe Gibbs Racing. He needs to be able to kind of close the deal out. So does Dave Rogers. You know, Darian Grubb and Carl Edwards, they got a point to prove. You go down that list, you're going to see a lot of people who want to show that, hey, we're the #1 team within this organization. So it's going to be interesting to see how they motivate one another as far as that's concerned. But the main thing as far as Denny Hamlin is concerned, in my opinion, getting to Daytona, picking up where he left off last year when it comes to restrictor plate racing. He was good at Daytona early last year. Hopefully he can do that same thing again and get some momentum, you know, going like he ended 2014.
Yeah, because so much has been said about the 2015 rule changes. It does not apply to the 2 restrictor plate tracks of Daytona and Talladega. You heard Danielle say it, did everything but win the Daytona 500, finished second, and his 1 win was at the restrictor plate track of Talladega.
Now let's get a report on Denny's old crew chief. That would be Darian Grubb. Here's Caitlin.
Thank you, Adam. Well, lots of changes took place at Joe Gibbs Racing in the offseason. One of the more significant changes was crew chief Darian Grubb leaving that 11 team of Denny Hamlin and coming over to the newly formed team of Carl Edwards in that 19 team. Now, Darian was supposed to be here today at the media tour, but he's actually sick with the flu. But representatives of Carl Edwards have told me that the two hit it off very well right out of the gate at a Goodyear tire test back in December, had a very productive, good communication at that test. And the other interesting thing is Carl Edwards has actually been coming by Joe Gibbs Racing every single week to start building a relationship with his new race team. And if you remember, these 2 guys tied for a championship in Homestead Miami Speedway back in 2011 with different teams. Now they're going to have an opportunity to earn their first Sprint Cup championship together starting in Daytona. Adam?
And Caitlin, I think that's one of my favorite storylines, the fact that these 2 are paired together after what you consider they went through back in 2011.
But I don't think anybody can question the numbers that Darian Grubb has laid down. You saw the graphic, 21 wins with 4 different drivers. He won that championship, came close last year, but he's never been with a driver more than 3 years. He's still looking for that right chemistry. Maybe Carl Edwards is the man.
Well, hopefully maybe by this amount of time. Remember, he's a former engineer. He's won a lot of big races all the way back to when he was at Hendrick. He won his first race with a Daytona 500 with Jimmy Johnson. So possibly last year's mistake may be the final part of that equation as far as make him a well-rounded crew chief and close the deal out. And if he can do it with Carl Edwards, that would be very fitting.
Hey guys, set the DVR, would you? UFC 183 starts on Fox Sports 1 with a full card of epic bouts, including UFC superstar Miesha Tate entering the octagon against Sarah McMahon, plus Herman battles Brunson. These are names even Larry McReynolds can pronounce. It's UFC 183 prelims, Fox Sports 1. Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
I'll be watching it live. Guarantee.
I know you'll be watching it live. Maybe Matt Kenseth will. He's been known to wrestle in the garage, right? We'll hear from the man who won the championship in 2003 on the way. And next, Danielle talking with Kyle Busch. It's not all race cars. A little bit about that new baby they got on the way.
Dada.
NASCAR Race Hub, as our coverage of the 2015 Media Tour continues. This season, it will be one of change for that guy, Kyle Busch. The Las Vegas native will turn 30 in May. He already has a new crew chief, and wife Samantha is expecting the couple's first child this spring. And now we look at his numbers from a year ago. 1 victory, that coming at Auto Club Speedway in Southern California. He led 453 laps, 10th in points, and that's deceiving because he flat got his heart broke at Talladega.
They're calling you on that. Just stop.
Kyle Busch rolls upside down.
Just having a good old time over here.
18 car all torn up.
I got from behind. We're done.
Yeah, that was was the end of the 2014 chase for the Sprint Cup for Joe Gibbs Racing driver Kyle Busch. Why do we have to start this interview with Talladega? We just showed the wreck. That's not something you want to discuss, I'm guessing.
No, not necessarily. That's not high priority on our list. That's something more to forget about and get rid of. But it happened, and those things do happen in racing, and it's obviously very discouraging or upsetting when you're going through that situation in the time. But as we all know, life goes on.
Yes, 2015, hope springs eternal. There is so much change going on. Now that you had some time in the off-season to get ready for the baby. You and your wife, Samantha, expecting your first child, a baby boy.
Yep, that's right. It's been good. We've had a lot of fun so far this off-season. We've had a lot of time away from the racetrack to kind of unplug and whatnot, but yet try to get into baby mode a little bit, if you will. And I did off-season testing. I did stroller testing and stuff like that, so that was good. Stroller testing. So we had to pick out the ones that handled the best, and Samantha was in on that too. She didn't like the way some wheels felt. She didn't like the way the setup was on some other ones, and so
setup, on the stroller.
She knows plenty of strollers. So we feel like we got going on the right track and picked out some good ones.
Now, as the baby bump grows, certain things have to occur, which you love to share via social media. We love watching the Busch family. Here in this picture, Samantha asked you to take out the belly button ring.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It wasn't an ouch.
It's pliers?
Well, she hasn't changed it or messed with it in so long. I think it's been 5-6 years, whatever it was, since she got that ring, and so it was stuck together. It was essentially it just fused together. So she's trying to get it and she can't get it. So I'm like, don't worry, I got it. I'll get it for you. And she's freaking out that I'm going to pinch her or rip it out of her skin. And I'm like, if you just lay still, it'll all be fine. And so it took me about 10 minutes to get her calmed down enough for me to get to work on it, and boom, done in 2 seconds. And she was like, oh, that's not so bad.
I was going to say, you being the calm one in this situation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We are seeing a Kyle Busch grow and mature before our very eyes, ladies and gentlemen. A dad-to-be, that's what fatherhood will do to you.
That's right. That'll grow you up quite quickly.
Once we get to the racetrack, you have to block some of this excitement out. And when do you really start to focus? Because we're still about 20 days out from Daytona. Are you and Adam doing a lot of work at the shop? Are you visiting, communicating? What is this next month like?
Yeah, I've been actually going to the shop a lot more often than I expected to this off-season, but I've just been going by JGR and checking it out and seeing and meeting and talking with my new guys. I mean, we've got half of a new team, including Adam Stevens, that's new to me, so just trying to get some personal time with those guys and get to know them a little bit.
What has you most excited as we get ready to head to Daytona?
I think the most excitement for me is the new M&M's Crispy car.
I heard you're getting...
I'm green. I know. I'm all different. So I'm no longer in the peanut yellow. I'm in the bright green for the Crispy car. So I'm actually...
it's hard to miss.
I like the car. I think it looks cool, So it's going to be different to be in a green car and, just getting out there on the racetrack and, putting the rubber to the asphalt and getting going.
He won't blend in, folks. Kyle Busch, always known to stand out. His race car in 2015, no exception. We wish you the best of luck and talk to you again in Daytona.
We'll be there, so look forward to it.
Adam, back to you.
All right, Danielle, and the one thing I learned from that piece, if I need to take out my belly button ring, I just need to call Kyle Busch. The rules in the Sprint Cup Series in 2015, no comment.
Not even. I just want to make sure.
The rules in the Sprint Cup Series, much like what they have been in the Xfinity Series, where Kyle has been so good. So how much does that help him this season?
I think Kyle Busch can drive anything. I don't think it's a matter of what series he comes out of, and they're going to have to adjust whatever needs to be done, because no matter what you do, however you do it, it's not going to be exactly the same. So you're going to have to make certain adjustments. Adam will, as well as Kyle. And the guys, I guess the biggest question is, does he look like a daddy to you, Larry? Does he look
He's
like
getting there.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I have no reason to believe that they won't be successful over there. But they had to change something. He had 12 finishes, a third of the races outside the top 20. But I warn folks about comparing the Xfinity Series to the Sprint Cup Series. Competition's good in the Xfinity Series, and the walk between the garage areas, they're a very short distance, but the gap, when you think about how hard it is to win in Sprint Cup and the way the competition is, it's as wide as the Grand Canyon. So you got to be a little careful comparing those two.
So earlier we had Danielle interviewing Denny. Now we've got Alan interviewing Adam.
And Adam, we're with another Adam Stevens, new crew chief for Kyle Busch in the Sprint Cup Series. Adam, big offseason for you, busy I'm sure, but new rules package for a rookie crew chief. Is that an advantage or is that a disadvantage for a guy like you?
Well, certainly everything's new to me, so the more they can change it up for the rest of these guys, I feel like the more even the playing field is for myself.
You've been with Kyle Busch for a few years now, had a lot of success with him, but this is the Sprint Cup level. How do you challenge yourself to take on that extra scrutiny that will come along with the Sprint Cup Series?
Well, there's so many guys and teams that are capable of winning races at this level. I haven't seen this level of competition since I left the Cup Series 4 years ago to go nationwide racing as a crew chief, and it's not something that you take lightly, and even outrunning your teammates is a tall order.
You said you didn't have much of an off-season. What's been the biggest challenge for you transitioning to the Sprint Cup Series?
Well, I think, from my personal experience that as a Cup crew chief, you spend a lot more time managing than you do actually working on the cars. And that's been a hard pill for me to swallow. It's been a little bit different coming to work every day. So many more people, 450 employees at Joe Gibbs Racing, and you have to kind of keep tabs on all of them.
31 wins in what was the nationwide series, trying to bring all that success to the Sprint Cup Series. Adam Stevens.
Thank you, Alan. I hope you like Joe Gibbs Racing, because we're not done yet. Matt Kenseth with Danielle on the way from the media tour, and we hear from the big dogs in NASCAR. What's changing in 2015?
Papa Bear.
It is the first live edition of NASCAR Race Hub in 2015. We have a new time slot this season, 6 p.m. Eastern. Ram still our Monday sponsor. Today, our conversation centers around Uptown Charlotte, where the media tour is off and rolling. For a preview of what's still to come, let's go to the newest member of our Race Hub family, Alan Cavana.
There's a new rules package coming in 2015. Coming up, we talked to Brian France and Mike Kelton on how they'll judge the new rules package on the track and how they plan on keeping the momentum going from 2014. Now to Caitlin Vincey.
Well, Alan, one team looking to build momentum in 2015 is Joe Gibbs Racing. Certainly one of the big stories here at the media tour today is the fact that JGR has added a 4th car with the addition of Carl Edwards to their driver's stable. And I heard Coach Gibbs talking earlier today about the fact that when he first started JGR, he had 17 employees. Now he has had to make nearly 100 new hires to accommodate for that brand new race team with the 19 car. So he met with a lot of the new faces last week to welcome them to the company and also to get more acquainted with a lot of the new employees that will be working the day-to-day operations at Joe Gibbs Racing. Adam?
Okay, Caitlin, if you go back exactly 1 year, you absolutely would not have believed these numbers. 2013, 7 wins for Matt Kenseth, the goose egg in 2014, but he did finish 7th in the championship. Got one off, and that is Matt Kenseth. Hard hit as he came down. Wow. Man down.
Everyone, quick, back it up.
Oh, trouble. Harvick and Kenseth around.
Driving aside of me is just so inexcusable.
They're all fighting. They're fighting in between.
Matt Kenseth finishing 7th in points in 2014, entering the new season, your 17th year in the Sprint Cup Series. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem.
A veteran, a true veteran, Matt.
I didn't think it was going to start off this way because we were just talking about Jeff Gordon retiring right off there.
We were talking as that piece was rolling. Quite a shock to us, maybe not so much for you guys in the garage, but you've been racing with Jeff a long time. Your thoughts on 2015 being his last?
Well, I mean, he ran good enough to win a championship last year, really. If he would have got taken out of the race, wherever it was, Texas or whatever, he would have been one of the guys right there. So, yeah, I mean, he's still more than capable of winning every week and going out and winning a championship. So, only he knows his reasons. So he's been doing it a long time. And in my mind, even though, Jimmy's had all his success lately, Jeff is really the face of NASCAR, in my opinion. So it'll definitely be weird when he's not there every week.
Over 20 seasons, full-time, 761 consecutive starts. We just said you're entering your 17th year. Does it feel like it's that long?
Yes and no. I mean, there's certain times, when you get in the middle of the year, toward the end of the year, and you see all the changes and things that are going on, you realize it's been a long time. But in another way, time flies, especially as you get older. It seems like the years just tick by, quicker and quicker. So it doesn't, I didn't really know it was 17 years until you just said it. So it doesn't really seem like it's been that long.
Looking at 2015, you're one of the few drivers that have had some seat time, a tire test not too long ago in Las Vegas. What did you gain from that?
you know, it was nice to get back in a car from not being in a car all winter and getting out there and running some laps and kind of getting the swing of things a little bit. We didn't really get much time to test anything, really. We were just putting tires on the car and trying to gather information, you know, for Goodyear. You know, so I don't know that we learned a ton from it, but yet with no testing, it was good to get on the track. I think it gave us a lot to look at, a lot to think about for going back.
We're going to Daytona without Daytona testing, a two-time Daytona 500 champion. Are you hungrier to win 3 than you were to win your first? Or now that you've won the Super Bowl 2 times before, how do you approach it?
I really approach it the same. I think that, you know, there's nothing like winning the first one, you know, because everybody, you know, everybody who stock car races or dreams about stock car racing, dreams about winning Daytona 500, biggest stock car race in the world. So to win one was really special. Of course, winning 2 was really special as well. And you want to win as many as you can, right? I mean, it kind of gets you in more elite companies. So it's a huge race. We've had some opportunities to win some. I've been fortunate enough to be able to get a couple of them. And it'd be pretty cool way to start the year, obviously, is to get another one.
We're inside of 30 days until we race in the Daytona 500, and never too early to put on the fire suit, as Matt Kenseth is displaying for us today here at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We can't wait to see you down there. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Adam, back to you.
Okay, Danielle, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but 7 wins, 13, 0 in 14, but we all agree they're not that far off, right?
No, they're not that far off. They're really a model of consistency. But, you know, don't blame Matt Kenseth for the fact he didn't go to victory lane. They did everything right. As far as I'm concerned, as Toyota goes, that's how that number 20 car will go, Larry. I really feel like, you know, those guys had just a little more power, just a little bit better handling package, aero package. They'd have won, maybe not 7 races, but they'd have been in the hunt.
Yeah, they had a tough act to follow what they accomplished in 2013. No way you can say they had a bad season. They had 22 top 10 finishes and finished 7th in the points going out in Eliminator 8. Just the expectations because of what they did the year before was there, but they just did everything, but they didn't win a race.
I think he's going to have a good spring. Not only on track, but off track. You know, his Wisconsin Badgers could make a deep run in March.
I don't know about the Badgers, but he's still in mourning over the Packers. I know that.
That was ugly.
That was deep.
Hey, but speaking of college basketball, we got it for you tomorrow. In fact, it follows NASCAR Race Hub in the Big East. Xavier, the Musketeers, getting 21st ranked Georgetown. The Hoyas been on a roll lately, so Brendan Gone somewhere is smiling right now. You can watch it live on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Remember a year ago, the big announcements from NASCAR? What kind of a splash did they make at the media tour today? We find out next. Day in Uptown Charlotte. However, the NASCAR world is buzzing. As Larry pointed out earlier, the Daytona 500 just 27 days away, and today served as day 1 of the NASCAR Media Tour. Here are a few headlines coming from Uptown Charlotte. Chase Grid Year 2, just like Year 1. No changes there. The car's a little bit different in 2015, and big-time changes when it comes to now NASCAR officiates a race. For more from the Media Tour, let's send it back to Alan Cavana.
Adam, maybe the biggest news to come out of the State of the Sport address was the lack of big news. Both NASCAR Chairman and CEO Brian France and President Mike Helton agreed that 2014 was one of the best seasons in recent history. And because of that success, NASCAR's top brass decided to make no format changes in the offseason. But some things are changing, namely the rules package. It means less horsepower and different handling for drivers and teams, and it means NASCAR's leaders will be judging this rule package by how it performs on the track and in hopes of continuing the momentum of 2014.
And then there's just, you know, watching what we watch about what makes up good racing. But it's close, tight competition. You know, hopefully lots of lead changes, hopefully lots of excitement down the stretch.
You've got the sophomore year now of the chase format that we had in 14. So their strategy is going to be new and fresh. And watching all that unfold, I think, is part of the ingredients.
One change NASCAR did announce on Monday, no more flaring of the side skirts by teams on pit road. NASCAR says if teams are caught doing that, they'll be forced back into the pits and have to fix it.
Okay, Alan, if you want to hear more from Brian France, you can go to foxsports.com/NASCAR. Danielle Trotta had a great conversation with our chairman there. Let's talk for a minute about officiating pit road. We're going to see something in 2015 like we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to be watching from the drop of the green flag in the Sprint Unlimited race. And Adam, it's really no changes in pit road rules. I know they're not going to monitor lug nuts anymore, but they've just come up with a more advanced way of monitoring and enforcing pit road rules that's been in place for years, even since Jeff and I were crew chiefs. It's just a better way of monitoring it.
And to your point, I mean, what we're trying to do is, as always, they're just trying to keep the playing field level. They started realizing that some of the other big teams were taking more advantage of some of the lesser teams, and they felt like that's where they were getting an unfair advantage off of pit road. So by doing this, it should make it a lot better as far as the competition is concerned. But to your point, it's no real change, just a new way they're going to enforce it.
When NASCAR makes changes, the teams, they have to adjust.
And they will.
A lot of work for them to do as we get set for the opening races of the season that are now less than a month and away. We've got more NASCAR Race Hub on the way. A look ahead to Tuesday at the NASCAR Media Tour when we continue on Fox Sports 1. If you've got drivers in driver suits but no race cars, it must mean it's time for the NASCAR Media Tour. Day 1 is complete. What's on tap for Tuesday? Here's Caitlin with a preview.
Well, Adam, day 1 of the Charlotte Motor Speedway Media Tour is coming to a close, but tomorrow even more teams are going to be addressing the media. We'll have Michael Waltrip Racing, JTG Daugherty Racing, as well as all 4 Stewart-Haas Racing drivers are going to catch up with us here on NASCAR Race Hub. And I'm also going to get some one-on-one time with championship-winning crew chief Rodney Childers to talk about what he did in his offseason and how he plans to carry that momentum from 2014 over to 2015. Adam?
Thank you, Caitlin. Our coverage continues all week long. We're proud of that new time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Yes, we're back here tomorrow on Fox Sports 1. So as we put the wraps on day 1 of the media tour, Jeff, what are you thinking about today?
Well, I'm just glad they haven't going to make any changes as far as the chase is concerned. I think a lot of our fans are just starting to figure that out. But when it comes to JGR, folks, you better make sure you get you a score sheet and pay attention, because over there, a little change is going to do you good, because they've done a lot of mixing and matching, all in an effort to try to get all 4 teams, that's right, all 4 teams into victory lane and that chase this year.
Yeah, I'm anxious about tomorrow's show, Stewart-Haas Racing, because I have a lot of questions about that organization. Can Kevin Harvick repeat? Tony Stewart, his first winless season last year, can he rebound? Kurt Busch, a big bright spot there at the end of the season, and Danica Patrick, 82 starts. It's time to go, gal. Let's go.
Are you going to be here tomorrow?
I will be.
It sounds like you got your notes ready. Danielle in studio tomorrow. I'll be at the media tour. See you at 6. Thanks for being here, everybody.